I swear these other podcasts are just a waste of time. I'm skipping through them, I'd rather listen and change my mind. Wes and Nick always help me through my daily grind. Your favorite guys, your favorite lines, change my mind. I swear these other podcasts are just a waste of time. I'm skipping through them, I'd rather listen and change my mind. Wes and Nick always help me through my daily grind. Your favorite guys, your favorite lines, change my mind. Yeah.
Nick, did you know that this Joker movie that came out this weekend is the highest grossing film that Robert De Niro has been a part of since Meet the Fockers?
Really?
Yeah.
I had no idea.
He's fallen off.
He's been around a long time.
I know. He's got a very high batting average. But I feel like he's like Albert Pujols right now. You know, he's just you just swing for the fences every time. Usually comes up a little bit short.
I'd been thinking for a while that it's getting time. Like, you know, we need to, at some point, you got to call it quits. You would think you have enough money saved up, make some sound investments, eventually retire.
Sure.
That's the hope, right?
Yeah, I think so. I think you could do it. You know,
I mean,
he was good in this movie. We'll get into that.
Yeah, we'll get into that more later. But I mean, is he ever going to be? I guess the fear is he's going to be irrelevant at some point. I don't know.
I don't think. I mean, his movies are classics. You know, all the stuff that he's in.
So that's what I don't understand. Why do you feel the need to continue to act? I mean, is it just like anybody else? I guess
all actors are narcissists at the end of the day. So it probably is that they want to stay relevant.
That's exactly what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
And I kind of get that, but he's not as bad as Pacino. I think Pacino fell off a little bit harder.
A little bit harder, yes.
Just a little bit harder, and a little bit sooner too.
You ever see Dirty Grandpa?
I actually never saw that.
I don't.
Was Pacino in that?
Not Pacino, but De Niro.
Oh, really?
Zac Efron, April from Parks and Rec.
Oh, I was thinking of Bad Grandpa, but I still haven't seen Dirty Grandpa either.
Yeah, both of them. You could probably skip both of them. You're okay.
Oh, good to know.
Yeah.
All right, I will not make a point of that.
Well, we're happy you're not skipping another installment of the Change My Mind podcast. You know, Wesley Sykes here across the table this is a little bit of a layup, I would say, but the Jared Leto to my Heath Ledger, Mr. Nick Fryer.
Wow.
Sorry. That was easy. I had to. After going off, you know, I took a week off last week with it.
Yeah, you did. I noticed that. In the write-up. I didn't say anything in the course of the show, but that hurts.
I know. Yeah, well, yeah, it's all good fun.
I'm not a big Jared Leto fan in any capacity.
You're not a 30 Second to Mars type of guy?
I think there was one song that he had that I liked. So that was how I first heard of him. Was he a singer and then became an actor?
I don't know which came first.
Tim, do you know? Ooh,
a resident guy in the chair?
Yep.
Mr. Tim Weisberg.
So he was an actor for many, many years before 30 Seconds to Mars.
Really?
It became a thing, yeah.
Oh, yeah, because he was in Rec Room for a Dream, right?
That's right. That
came into prominence as the heartthrob crush character in My So-Called Life.
Oh, that was him.
92, 93.
Yeah, MTV show, right?
Well, ABC originally.
Oh, okay.
I think MTV picked up the reruns on it, but it was like the first kind of like Generation X, teen drama.
Sure.
And so he was the heartthrob on that. And then I don't remember really seeing too much about him until he had the starring role in Prefontaine.
Never saw that.
Never heard of it.
The runner, C. Prefontaine.
Oh, yeah.
And then
who could forget?
After that, it was more, Olympian and all that stuff. But then after that, I don't think I saw him again until Panic Room. He was one of the bad guys in Panic Room.
In Panic Room, yeah.
And then from there, he just went on to play weird characters all the time.
Right, he kind of did that, yeah. Kind of the Matthew McConaughey route, and like only playing like really unique.
McConaughey.
Yeah, McConaughey's.
But meanwhile, that band just became huge at the same time, and.
Yeah, not a big Jared Leto guy.
No, me either.
No, not at all.
I'm glad we're in agreement on that. This is on the WBSM 1420 AM YouTube live stream channel. Or you could be listening to us anywhere where you consume your podcast. But as we already mentioned from the top of the show, we're going to be talking about the Todd Phillips movie, Joker. And it's just Joker, right? It's not like the Joker movie or like Joker film or the Joker.
No, it's just Joker.
It's just Joker. It sounds weird. Like it feels weird putting it in sentences.
So somewhere along the way, he just became Joker. And it was before this, and I don't understand why. I kind of get it, but I don't love that either. It just feels weird to me. But I also am not a fan of characters being having the in front of them all the time.
I like a good, definitive article.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't. Like the Flash. Flash.
Flash. Yeah, you could put a little variance on it.
I just like the one word. I don't know why.
Okay. Flash.
But I'm excited to talk about this.
Joker.
But we got some other stuff to get into before we talk about the Joker movie, of course, Wes.
Yeah, well, actually, it's a little bit more about the Joker movie. So, as it so happened. So, I don't think this is a spoiler because Tim hasn't seen it. He'll be leaving the room when we do talk about the Joker film. But yes.
I just want to chime in with a comment from the chat room because we don't get a lot of comments in the chat room.
Oh, so I love that. Yes.
We want to pay attention to those. Jeffrey McNamara says he actually likes the Batman.
Oh, the Batman. So, for like Matt Reeves.
Yes.
So thanks very much for listening, Mac. Yeah. That's great. We'll probably be seeing him out there at one of the Dork podcasts or Mac and Goo Trivia Nights or one of those coming up soon. But yeah, so we'll. I think Joaquin Phoenix open to playing the Joker again.
Okay.
This is apparently out there. So during an appearance on Popcorn with Peter Travers, Phoenix left the door open to the possibility that the possibilities are endless about what he and Todd Phillips, quote, might be able to do with it.
I think that's fair.
But he was also kind of dancing around it, too, so it's not really definitive. He's like, because it's not, it was supposed to be a standalone movie.
We have to revisit this when we get into the actual movie, because there are questions that I have about all that.
Exactly.
And we can't do that right now with Tim and anybody who's listening that hasn't seen it yet that wants to hear about the new stuff.
Would you be open to that, though? Would that something like, because this is just a DC movie, would you want him in the DCEU or the World's the DC or whatever it is?
Would I want Joaquin Phoenix? Sure, but there are a lot of questions with what we saw in the movie that I can't like. In some ways, it just the way he did it. Yes, his portrayal. Yes, I'd be fine with all that. So just on that alone, I would say yes.
Yeah, I think simply yes.
Okay, there are a lot. There are some asterisks.
But again, we'll definitely get into that a little bit later. I guess Joker adjacent news. Birds of Prey trailer was released.
Yeah. I don't know how
you pointed that out to me. Obviously, it came out the day after our last episode came out. So
great timing.
But I think you tagged me. Yeah.
Right?
Come
Come on, DC. Come on. Get it together. We're on Mondays. Release all your news.
They're supposed to know that.
Yes. Release it later in the. Actually, well, the whole thing is you can't have stuff come out later in the week. I guess the way the internet works. But whatever. Anyway. I was not a big fan when I saw this. I was, even Margot Robbie was like,
Well, so that's my thing. Forced. It's like I loved Margot Robbie in Suicide Squad. She was one of the only or best redeeming qualities of that film. Mm-hmm. But I wonder if her being in the leading role, not Margot Robbie, but the character Harley Quinn, is there enough there to be a leading, titular role?
I haven't read enough of her to say no in that vein, but I do think.
Because she's by nature a sidekick.
She is, and I think, she has her own comic series. I don't know how successful it was, but it went on for a while. I think it's still ongoing, and they had the old Lady Harley spinoff, which was a total tank job, apparently. But, yeah, I would think that the character can stand alone. I think that she is, like the Joker, there is a lot there, but I think there's a little bit more to her because they've wanted to go there. They've provided that with that character in the past, and she's also been a good guy, kind of. So, that's the Birds of Prey thing, kind of like an anti-hero sort of thing.
Right, yeah.
So I think she could be. I just don't know if the writing was well done.
Yeah, I'm kind of up. Like, I want to like this movie. I want to be optimistic about it. The color palette
I always want to be optimistic
cool.
about these movies.
The trailer was cut well, but again, I was fooled by that on Suicide Squad. I want to like this movie, but I just don't have strong feelings either way about it, which is probably the worst place to be.
I would say it's the worst place to be, but I'm kind of more in the camp of I think this is going to suck.
Right.
But I think on the surface when the Joker news came out, I was like, we don't need that. We don't need that, and I don't feel that way anymore.
But again, it at least had Joaquin Phoenix a name attached to it, where you say, "Oh, okay, I don't think he's going to screw this up."
Yeah, but I don't think Margot Robbie's going to screw something up either. In general,
but I'm not sure if that role, Harley Quinn in that movie, is on the same level as Joker in the Joker film. Do you know what I mean? Like. Joker was really the only the only real character. Like, he was the only person that was really throughout the movie. But you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was like very much focused on him. This is obviously has a stronger supporting cast.
That could be what ends up helping it out in the end. But I'm of the belief that there are some characters or some movies where you say, like we've seen it with Wolverine.
Right.
People don't like the movies, but then they like how Hugh Jackman portrays the character still.
Yes.
Which to me means okay, then the movie wasn't terrible because the acting was good. Yes, there were flaws and everything, but I think that brings it up a level. I don't know about Harley Quinn. If that's what your question kind of was, then I don't know. But either way, just looking at it all on the surface, it was just like the accent was a little bit too hard out of her. I felt like this time, trying to force too much. Yeah. But it was different from before, and it shouldn't be different from before.
Right.
I get it's hard to repeat that stuff, but you're getting paid all that money, you should be able to do that. You know what I mean? That's one of the things that comes with the character.
Yeah, who knows? I may be blown away. You know, like I don't really know much about the other characters, and the bad guy was a Black Mask.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Black Mask, and it's
who's not wearing a mask? Ewan McGregor.
Yeah, I don't know how they're gonna do all that. That could be a situation where he doesn't turn into that character till the very end of the movie. We've seen that kind of stuff before.
I do like the hyena as a dog. That was kind of as a pet. I like that.
Yes,
domesticated animal.
That is a thing for her. That is a thing. So I will say, with these DC movies, I don't hate the idea of going into it and being down on it.
Easy to exceed expectations.
Yeah, easy to exceed expectations. I mean, that's how I felt about Justice League. I think that a lot of people who want those Justice League movies, I don't. I never did because I feel like those are not the characters that people love or are going to love on the big screen.
Right.
I ended up liking that movie, I think, more than the average person did.
Because I agree.
So we'll see what happens with this one though. But I'm definitely not high on it after seeing that trailer.
Well, you know who's not high on comic book movies?
This freaking guy.
Martin Scorsese. He joins James Cameron as the stuffy butthurt old directors to speak ill of the MCU.
And James Cameron, by the way, who is involved in the new Terminator that's coming out.
Yes.
Did you see that trailer, Tim? I don't know if that's only been out in theaters because Wes did not see it.
I think I might have seen it earlier released. Is that with Linda?
Okay.
Linda coming back.
Linda Hamilton. Yep.
Yes. Thank you.
Yes. And they have a new Terminator, and it's a female Terminator, and she's
right. No,
well, there's a couple because there's an Asian male Terminator too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yep.
Maybe
there's a couple. Yeah. I mean, they've had a female Terminator before.
Okay.
Terminator 3: Rise of the Machines.
I barely.
But those aren't canon anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Which, apparently this new movie it's like T2 and then this one.
Gotcha.
So T3, Salvation. Were there other ones besides that?
I think that's it. No, was there one with the Avatar guy?
Was there
Sam Worthington? Was he in one of those movies? That was, or Christian Bale?
Christian Bale was in Salvation.
Salvation. Yep. And I think
there might have been a Terminator 4 too, in addition to Terminator Salvation.
Could have been.
Either way, either way, just on the point of
James Cameron.
Yeah, James Cameron.
Martin Scorsese.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, James Cameron. You're gonna go and dump on superhero movies. And then I know he came back and congratulated. What was it?
I'm passing Avatar. Right.
Do you know why James Cameron dumps on superhero movies?
Because they're more successful than he was.
No, because he was supposed to direct the first Spider-Man movie.
There you go.
So it's sour grapes.
Sure.
He was supposed to be the director of that film, but he had to pull out because of Avatar.
Speaking of, and not to go further off the rails on this, but my dad sent me something the other day where with Endgame and how Iron Man was able to absorb the stones as long as he did with the snap and everything, and he didn't die instantly. I know he died, but
the whole it didn't instantly. Yeah,
there was a line from the first Iron Man that somehow kind of explained how the arc reactor was what in fact absorbed all of it. It's just the way they tied it in, all the way to the first Iron Man. I'll send you the link after.
Was it like special features from the the Blu-ray or something? Or
no, it's from the scene in the cave where the doctor says to him
from the original Iron Man.
Yeah, and said how the arc reactor was supposed to take on a certain amount of force or whatever it was. It was crazy how they tied it in all the way back to that. Everything in these movies always means something.
That's amazing. I love that.
Yeah, but anyways, Martin Scorsese.
So this is what he had to say. He says the Marvel movies are not cinema. This is a direct quote. He goes on to say the closest I can think of it as our theme parks. He went on to say that they aren't the cinema of human beings trying to convey emotional, psychological experiences to another human being. Which is interesting.
I think you need to say it in this voice, Wes.
Right,
because
exactly.
It's not cinema.
The guy who only makes gangster movies.
Yes, he's talking about humanity of individuals.
I shouldn't go after Martin Scorsese.
Why not? This is such a dink comment.
Well, and a lot of his characters are one-dimensional too.
Right.
I mean, granted, he's not the one that writes them, but he's dealing with one-dimensional. I shouldn't really say one-dimensional because they do have layers to them. But come on, we know what's going to happen when you're watching a Martin Scorsese movie.
Yeah, exactly. So,
I mean, even then with these characters, are they not dynamic? I mean, is Tony Stark not a dynamic character?
Well, that's my question. Is which of these movies would he hate the least of the MCU movies? Do you think that actually convey emotional, psychological experiences from one human being to another.
Which would he hate the least?
Yeah.
I mean, they are very thin.
No, they're thin. They're popcorn movies. They're action movies.
You know what? They're not cinema. Good. I had fun with them the whole time. I hate cinema.
They're not supposed to
this
be.
is the most. These movies are the most fun.
No, don't
ever.
say that you hate cinema.
I don't actually hate cinema. I'm pissed though. This is stupid. Wait, you're gonna complain because it's not some fancy hoity-toity
So
thing.
it's the difference between Rocky 1 and Rocky 4. You know? That's
exactly.
really the difference between the two. And you could make
and
you
that's
could make
fine.
a Rocky 1 superhero movie. In fact, they did. Logan.
Yeah.
You know, and it sounds like this Joker film
It's
same
along
way.
those lines, yeah.
So just because they're superheroes doesn't mean that they can't have depth. It just means that there's no need to go that deep with some of these characters.
But I think they're specifically talking about the MCU and that kind of formulaic,
those are
cookie cutter type styles, right?
Yeah. I understand.
So is there a movie that jumps out that
he would like the least?
Yeah, from the MCU. Obviously, I think Logan
dislike the most. I'm sorry, dislike the most or like the most?
That he would hate the least. That he would like the most. Essentially the same thing.
From the MCU, I mean,
the first Guardians of the Galaxy.
But is he,
that could be. See, I went Avengers Infinity War, Avengers Endgame, because that has that emotional. But
I don't know if you have that same depth if you haven't seen all the other films.
Yeah.
I think I would say Infinity War before Endgame because like you've said before and you're not wrong. There's a lot more fan service and fun stuff in Endgame, and which I don't hate. I think it was the right move, but yeah, I'd probably say Infinity War. I don't know. I mean, I feel like one of the solo movies you'd have to say it, but maybe Winter Soldier just because the bond with him and Bucky. And,
I think that's good. Yeah, you get the But
if you look at the overall story arc of Iron Man and how he evolves so much, I mean, quite a few of these characters evolve throughout the Infinity Saga, but I don't think anyone evolves or changes more than Iron Man does. But he's not going to want to. I don't know if he's watched all of them.
Right. Yeah.
He's probably seen 2 of them and said,
"Yeah, I think maybe Black Panther. Yeah, who knows? I don't know.
I mean, is there a lot? I mean, there is some change in T'Challa, I guess, in the course of all that too. But anyway,
let's get on to your comic book minute.
On a much happier note, Todd McFarlane received his Guinness Book of World Record award for Spawn 301, which comes out this week. I don't know if it's sold out. I imagine they have a ton of copies, so I don't think it's going to be one of those collector items down the road where you can sell it off or something like that, and he's going to continue to break records over and over. But this is the record-breaking issue. I will be getting one. I have one pre-ordered.
Very nice.
I'm very excited about it. Some other first issues that are coming out this week, IDW Publishing. Now, this is not something I would read, but I imagine that we have some fans who are Karate Kid fans.
Sure.
Who
wasn't as a kid growing up, though?
Fair point. First issue of Cobra Kai, the Karate Kid saga continues, which is a mouthful. They need to cut that down.
That's a big title.
The first issue of that comes out this week, and this is the story from Johnny Lawrence's point of view, and it's the retelling of the Karate Kid from his angle.
Which they've been redoing that for the last few years. People have been pushing for you to watch it from that perspective, and in which case, Johnny is the hero of the film. And Daniel's a huge douche.
Oh.
Wow.
As a Karate Kid mega fan, I still can't see it, but I'd be interested in reading that book.
Then we have Hellmouth from Boom Studios. Now, this is a Buffy the Vampire Slayer and Angel crossover event. I don't know if it's crossover. I mean, they work together plenty.
That's a comic book?
It's a comic book, yeah.
No kidding.
Buffy still has stuff going on. Angel has stuff going on. But apparently, this was already sold out at the distributor level by September 19th. So I don't know if it's out there for everybody if you're looking to read this event.
It's a hot ticket.
Yeah. But I would imagine they'll have a second printing. That's what they do with all these big ones. They have to.
Supply and demand. Yeah, that's what it all comes down to.
And then the last one leading us into what we're talking about today, DC Black Label, which has had some really, really good stories, has Joker, Harley, Criminal Sanity coming out this week. It's a psychological thriller.
Oh, that sounds interesting. Okay.
These are like standalone series, it's like, so they don't necessarily have to fall in line with canon. I think they take a lot of it, but there are some changes that they make along the way. So I don't know. From what I read, I haven't read the issue yet, but from what I've read, it looks like these are going to be... It's going to be a little bit different than how we know Joker and Harley's origin story, like what we saw in Suicide Squad, which I think is more along the lines of canon. But Wes, we also got Drinking Buddies, and I think sticking to the theme of everything going on, and Tim, obviously this question is posed to you as well. If you were going out for a night on the town, you had to pick between these two individuals. We're going with males again this week. People of age. I'm making sure that I stay in line there.
Okay, yeah, very much. These guys are well above age.
Yes, they are more so. I'd say double both our ages.
Mm-hmm.
Jack Nicholson or Mark Hamill. Who are you going out with for a night?
Now, can I pick them at a preferred age?
You can do whatever you want.
Or does it have to be, current state 2019 version Mark Hamill, Jack Nicholson?
Just because I feel like you got a good idea, Bruin, I want you to do whatever you see fit.
Yeah, because I would say like late 70s Jack Nicholson, L.A., on the Sunset Strip. He could probably do some real damage as his wingman.
You go catch a Laker game with him too, you think?
I would sit courtside. Yeah, I'm not sure if I'd wear the purple and gold.
I respect that, yeah.
But I would definitely take, I would just wear a cap,
Smart move.
Yeah. The sunglasses and everything. He's just the super cool guy.
Yeah, it's going to be a wild night, Wes. You're not going to be alone at the end of the night, I'm sure, too. But you're a married man.
I'm probably sure, yeah. He will probably take, any girl that I would be going after at that point. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's just how Jack Nicholson rolls. If you want to hear a funny story, Jim Brewer, in one of his stand-ups, I think it was a Comedy Central HBO special, years and years ago, tells this great story about Jack Nicholson and being on the set Saturday Night Live. And it's just great. It's talking about the whole sunglasses and everything. I won't do it justice, but you give it a good YouTube, good Google search. It'll come up for you.
Okay. Tim, who are you going with?
Well, since we had to remove the Cesar Romero Joker from this, I would have preferred to have gone out with him and a bag full of oranges.
Now, okay, go
Google
on.
it, kids.
Do you know the story?
I haven't heard this story.
Okay, well, you just tell the story. It's worth it, yes.
Well, I will give the shout out to Gilbert Gottfried for this.
Oh, your boy.
He's the one that first brought this to my attention.
God damn it, Gilbert Gottfried.
But Cesar Romero, who played the Joker on the 60s Batman series, was gay. Mm-hmm. And he used to have this strange hobby of he would pay young men, I should say, of age, young men that would be standing there in just Speedos, standing around as he stood in a kiddie pool of ankle-deep warm water.
It would have to be warm water.
Warm water. He would be, from what I understand, nude.
Okay.
It's the weirdest story in the
world.
world.
He would bend over. He would spread his cheeks.
Okay.
And he would have those dapper young men standing around him throw orange wedges at his ass. And this was apparently what he was into. Not
the rinds, but like actual wedges?
Wedges of orange. They'd be cut into wedges, and they would throw the orange wedges at his ass.
Like the uneaten ones?
I don't think they were eaten at all. I think it was just like the whole wedge.
Huh.
And they would be thrown.
Do we have any reason why?
No reason why.
And this is why you would want to hang out with Cesar Romero.
I would like to see what happens if I was just sitting with him at a bar, having a few drinks, and then I pulled an orange out of my pocket and said, huh?
Something tells me you know what's going to happen.
From what I understand, he paid quite handsomely.
Oh, did he?
For these young boys to do this. And
very problematic if this got out there now.
Very,
you know
very Me Too.
Yeah.
He makes Kevin Spacey look like...
There's a documentary like Surviving Cesar Romero or something like that.
Well, but I mean, they were of age and they were being paid, so they were doing it, willingly. I'm assuming.
Well, prostitution is also illegal in this country.
There's no prostitution involved. You're just throwing orange wedges at a man's ass. I would totally do that, if not for the cash, for the story.
Okay,
but I don't think I'd do it.
Since the great Latin actor Cesar Romero, people don't realize that he was Latino.
Cesar Romero? I would have guessed that.
But they didn't realize that in seeing his portrayal of the Joker. And he refused to shave his mustache off. So if you look closely, you can always see the makeup's going over his mustache. But anyway, since
him and Henry Cavill had that same issue. Am I right, guys?
He's off the table.
Thanks.
I, too, would pick Jack Nicholson.
Oh, wow.
Nothing against Mark Hamill. I'm sure he has some great stories. But
he seems kind of boring.
Right. And there's those whole 30 years where he really didn't do anything.
Yeah.
That during that time, Jack Nicholson was kind of the Hollywood playboy. But I would love to talk to Jack Nicholson about some of his early days, starting out in writing a lot of films and writing Easy Rider, and he wrote the Monkees movie Head. He used to spend a lot of time with the Monkees, writing ideas for them. He was in the original Little Shop of Horrors. Was his first movie, the Roger Corman one. So I'd be interested in finding out about all that. Everything else we've read about in the National Enquirer all these years later.
Yeah, but you want to see if that's true or not.
I want to hear about that 60s counterculture Hollywood and what it was like to be part of that.
Okay.
I would pick Mark Hamill.
Yeah.
Because I would imagine now
because you know what you get into. It's like according to Jim. It's very benign and safe.
Oh God.
You're not getting into any trouble. You're probably going home.
Bartender,
early.
I'll take vanilla.
Yeah, it's exactly what I think of. Vanilla when I think of Luke Skywalker, the guy who saves the galaxy and everything. And then who also played the Joker too. He's not going to have any interesting stories whatsoever.
He's the most vanilla of everybody in Star Wars.
So what? He's still Luke Skywalker. He was a badass. I mean, in his own right. Not now.
He's like Leonardo of the Ninja Turtles. Like no one really likes Leonardo, even though he's like the unquestioned leader.
Well, guess what? You think he's not going to have some good stories about dealing with Harrison Ford and all the drama
Probably.
that comes with him, and he's not going to have some good stories about.
But
Carrie
I already
Fisher?
talked to Harrison Ford last week.
No, you talked to. You picked
I
Indiana
picked Indiana Jones.
Yes.
Yeah, well, Harrison Ford. Yeah, it's like kind of the same person.
Well, dang it, I got no comeback for that. Okay, but anyway, and then you talk about he did nothing for what was it, 30 years, Tim? I'd like to know what the hell were you doing for those 30 years, and what made you want to come back aside from the Star Wars
Trying
stuff?
to do something. That's what he was doing.
Well, I mean, what was that like? What was that experience like? Where you were labeled as Luke Skywalker? We hear all the time how actors don't want to be known as one character. Which I don't understand that when you can go and turn into Robert Downey Jr. I mean, he is Tony Stark, but it totally revitalized his career, made a ton of money.
I would actually argue he's just as prolific as the Joker as he is as Luke Skywalker.
I think
People just don't realize that it's him as the Joker.
Yeah.
But people are like,
doesn't he do like the video games too?
right.
Yeah.
And almost any Joker, he even does like the Robot Chicken Joker. Like any Joker
it's animated.
outside of the movies has been Mark Hamill for the last 25 years.
And
But people just don't realize.
Galifianakis, right? He did the Joker in the Lego movies, apparently.
Yeah, that's right.
I would ask him more about being Cockknocker.
I don't know it.
You never seen Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back?
No, I've never. Don't you know? I've never seen that.
I've seen it. Yeah.
He played Cockknocker.
Why can I picture?
He was the bad guy when they were making the Blunt Man and Chronic movie.
Oh, that's
And he just had that giant fist.
That's right.
And that was his whole gimmick was he was the Cockknocker.
Right.
There you go. I have to see all of those movies before because the
reboot comes out next week.
So just to recap from our resident guy in the chair, he would ask Mark Hamill about being a cockknocker and then talk to Cesar Romero about getting orange wedges thrown on his bare ass by young men.
Yes, thank you for summarizing that.
Okay,
It's very
I just
important.
want to make sure
It's
we're
very
all on the
important
same
that
page.
everybody
Yeah.
realizes that.
I would be concerned about this show hurting my dating life if it wasn't about comic books and movies.
Okay. That's
Okay, so
it's safe to say no one in this room is probably getting laid. I could think that's
not tonight at least.
Yeah.
Well, you are. I mean, you are married now, so isn't that how it works?
I think it just it all just I give it up. It's just done.
Yeah.
Off the table.
Anyways, I think that brings us to our main item of the night, which means Tim, unfortunately, has to remove
That's
himself
it.
from the
Get
room
out.
because he has not seen Joker yet.
And this is a good time. He gets all that off his chest, and then he can just leave.
Yes, it's perfect.
I'm gonna go look up Cesar Romero photos on the
Yes.
internet.
You're still on the work internet browser, though. Keep that in mind. Yeah, that's all.
Oh yeah, that's right.
It's
Yeah,
all going to be recorded.
yeah.
Anybody else that hasn't seen Joker, you can come with me.
Oh, okay, there you go.
It
Yeah,
might be a more interesting conversation. To be
Go
honest.
tweet at Tim Weisberg. He'll fill you in. Anyway, so Wes, what do we got?
So in Gotham City, I would say late 70s, early 80s. Supposed to be New York. Mentally troubled comedian Arthur Fleck embarks on a downward spiral of a social revolution and bloody crime. The path brings him face to face with his infamous alter ego, the Joker, starring Joaquin Phoenix, Robert De Niro, Zazie Beetz, directed by Sir Todd Phillips. Mm-hmm. No, sir, he's not knighted.
That's okay.
It's currently a 9 out of 10 on IMDb right now. Pulled in a cool 96.2 million domestically, another 152 million foreign.
Wow.
For a grand whopping opening weekend total of 248.4 million buckaroos.
It deserves every single dime.
Easily number one in the box offices this past weekend. It beat out Venom for the biggest October opening of all time.
Good. It should.
Yeah. So I think that's it. I think that's what we got.
So
did I like it?
did you like it?
Did you like it?
I liked it very much.
Yes.
I give it 94 out of 100.
Wow.
Yep.
Very nice. I like that. Okay. So I'm right there with you. I loved it. I really enjoyed it. Not without its flaws.
Of course.
I thought it was Uh-oh, I just got a little message from my now wife on Twitter. I just caught that going across my banner. I think she called me a dirty piece of garbage.
For what?
I'm not sure. now I'm worried.
Oh,
but I thought it was pretty unnerving the whole time, which is kind of how I feel right now after seeing that tweet. But it's like you never really feel like really comfortable about anything. You know, it's good action. It's a great build up. Joaquin Phoenix is phenomenal in it. Little things here and there, which we'll get into. 89 out of 100.
It was
good theater watch too. I was happy I went to the theater.
I'm glad you did too. I didn't. See, I feel like if I tell you that, it's somewhat of a spoiler, but it was definitely a movie you want to see in the theaters.
Yeah.
Good God, it was so jarring. And I know there's been a ton of the media insanity it's gotten a little bit of annoying for people. I was annoyed by it too.
I didn't see that as much though.
You didn't see? What do you mean?
Like the everyone's outrage over it. Like,
you
I'm
don't
not
understand
sure.
it?
No, I mean I get it. Maybe I was expecting with the build up being and the hype around it as it was going into it. Mm-hmm. Maybe I was expecting it to be worse.
The Joker movie. Okay, I get what you're saying now. Okay.
Yeah, like
I agree with you.
With the media backlash of saying how
it was too much.
How much of an impact this could make on people.
It was way too much.
I didn't think it was like that gripping. Do you know what I mean? Like where to the point where it would make someone go out and carry out like crimes.
I don't.
I don't think it was just a movie. I think it was like media outrage.
In terms of the way the media has handled the whole situation, they've gone, of course, as members of the media, way too far with this. It's absolutely ridiculous. I understand that. I thought it was gripping. I thought it was jarring. I thought it was powerful.
I thought it was all those things, but not moving enough to where I was going to act on it.
That's the thing.
Or people would act on it.
There's so much wrong with him in this movie that I don't. I mean, look, I'll tell you what. It's definitely making me have second thoughts when I was on the subway the other night for the Celtics game.
Right.
I'm like, just I know that there's the T or the L in Chicago. There's always that weird person that you want to try and stay away from.
Oh yeah.
It's like you don't know what's like. I would never do with those the guys that he killed, the first three guys. I'd never do something like that. But you want to stay away from a situation like that.
No, but you knew something bad was happening in that scene. Like, I was just thinking of that scene, and it kind of like you're just waiting for something to happen with the lights flickering in and out as they're going in and out of the tunnel. And that laugh, like I think that laugh is great. And how they set it up too with like that uncontrollable kind of like a disease or an illness that he has. That
was such
he just nervously laughs like that all the time and can't help it.
A weird choice. So you know what I want to. I mean, look, I know you got. Let me know if you want to hold this for later. But you brought up the question before about can they have a second one or another Joker movie, or can you bring him back?
Right. Yes.
The end of the movie. Again, now we've already started spoiling stuff. If you don't know already, if you're just hopping in on the YouTube stream or whatever, we're gonna spoil this stuff.
It's gonna happen.
It's the way our reviews go all the time. When you saw the end of the movie, first of all, I thought of Shutter Island right away. I was like, God damn it! Now Shutter Island's a little bit more obvious, I think. After you
I kind of forget that movie, to be honest with you.
Really?
Yeah, I wasn't crazy about that.
Oh, I like that one quite a bit. But anyways, at the end of Shutter Island, it was like, is he mentally insane? Did they mess with him? Like, what happened? And he was definitely mentally insane. But there's still room for doubt. With this one, I didn't know either. Like, was he? Did he do everything that we saw, or was that all just in his head and a joke like he thought? I don't know.
Oh, see, that's interesting. I didn't take it like that at all. But that's like now that you say that, I can definitely see whether the whole thing, because he does kind of have flashbacks and different things where I was a little confused about the timeline. Specifically when he goes on the Murray Franklin show for the first time, when he's watching it in bed with his mother.
Oh, you thought? Oh,
and it flashes back, and then I knew that was a flashback, but I didn't know like going forward that were going to be something that they were carrying out. Do you know what I mean?
You mean you knew that was like a dream, that wasn't a flashback? I don't think that happened.
Oh, see, I thought that was a flashback.
I don't think that happened.
He was on there before.
No, I think he was dreaming of that happening. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
that makes sense. Okay.
Yeah. The way they did it all, the way they definitely made. I mean, there was so much stuff that was confusing in the course of all this.
Yeah.
So I don't know. At the end of it, that was, to me, that was like my biggest gripe of them all. Like if I'm looking at the 6 points that I took off for this movie, I mean, it's hard to give anything 100. I know I did with Endgame, but the ending was. In some ways, it left me thinking, which is good, but at the same time, it's like you didn't even need to do that. You could have just ended it right where it was, where like he's the Joker and now the world has gone nuts. But instead, they left room for doubt. Like I see the blood on his shoes at the end. Is that actually blood, or is that?
Well, see,
fake?
I think my logic was that he killed the social worker that was interviewing him.
Okay.
And he was breaking out of Arkham Asylum to go back out into the world that he had just created.
Okay. Then good. Then that's awesome.
Then that leads me to believe, obviously, with the small tie-ins, they're not great. I thought Todd Phillips did a great job of kind of peppering in the little Batman references.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't a lot. Like, you get the pearl clutching by Martha Wayne, which we've seen how many times now over the years.
Yeah.
But even then, like, I was actually kind of excited to see that because everything else wasn't really a comic book movie. You know, to get those little, like, comic book sprinkles throughout the storyline was kind of nice.
Right.
And then, obviously, that final scene where they Arthur Fleck is talking to that social worker, psychiatrist, and they kind of superimpose that face of Bruce Wayne, young Bruce Wayne.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously, you think, like,
Yeah,
that could go into the Batman. Like, I think you could technically pick up right there, and you have a young Robert Pattinson playing Bruce Wayne. You know, maybe that leaves the door open if they want to do that. So I think it was just kind of having multiple outs.
But my issue with that in the court and everything is, and I think it was everybody had this going forward too, is how do you justify saying that Joaquin Phoenix looks the same 20, 30 years later? You know what I mean?
Well, he's like the Joker, I guess. Yeah, like, I don't know.
What do you mean?
Well, he was wearing face paint and stuff. And
yeah. So, but I mean, like, how do you...
That's minor, I think.
The fact that it's 20 or 30 years later and he looks almost exactly the same and he's not... Like, I mean, I always thought the Joker and him were pretty similar in age.
Well, would it be 20 or 30 years later, right? So, I mean, maybe 20. Definitely not 30.
Well, fine. If it's 30, I mean, even then still, 20 years later and you don't really age at all...
Maybe that makeup is really good, you know? Maybe it's the fountain of youth.
Okay. Well, now we're just getting ridiculous.
Maybe it's Maybelline. Who knows?
I'm stunned that I'm the one that's getting hung up on that tiny detail. I feel like that's something that would bother you
something
more.
For me, yeah.
But I would like it if they did something with him again. I don't know how they would, but I didn't even know how they were going to do this, and they blew me away. And you talked earlier before about he's really the only main character.
Yeah.
Every single step of the way, it's
he
just
is
him.
the movie. It's like him is to use the term tour de force.
Yeah, and yes, that's the perfect way to describe it.
Mm-hmm.
Because you look at like Endgame, and you get, and I know it's different because of those movies, but even with Iron Man, he's not on screen all the time. Like in the first Iron Man, you have what's Jeff Bridges' character, who he's taking up screen time. And then
Obadiah.
Yes, Obadiah. Thank you. He's taking up screen time, and then there are other individuals along the way. But with this, it's. I mean, even with Dark Knight, it's Batman, it's Joker, it's something. A lot of times they're separated. In this one, it's all him.
It's just him. Yeah.
Oh, the entire movie he's on screen. It's crazy. It's like I was blown away by that decision, and I think it was a great one because you see him, how he's just constantly friggin' beaten down. Oh.
Yeah, definitely falls like hard on his luck, and then you find out that he was adopted, and then his mother, his adopted mother, was abused by multiple boyfriends, and let him get abused by multiple boyfriends, and he was essentially given up by his birth parents. Then you find out that he may be related to Thomas Wayne, and there's that cool little storyline, which is a nice nod to the comics. Again, a little bit of that comic book getting sprinkled in there into like a real story. And that's kind of interesting to see whether that's going to happen, and he finds out that he's not. So it's like that's the whole tipping point of it all.
Do you think so? Like, I think Logan is a movie that anybody who likes a Western could like Logan. Because that's what it is. It's a Western with just superpowered individuals.
Right.
You don't really need to know who Wolverine is. It would help to know a little bit about him. But do you think with Joker that anybody who likes these, I don't know what I mean, this is
like
a drama.
A character study.
Yeah. Would you think that anybody could enjoy this outside of comics?
I think so.
Yeah, it was
because again, it's not superheroes. It's grounded. You know, it's like everything that is kind of what makes the MCU great.
Yeah.
You know, it's not colorful. It's not kind of popcorny.
Not
superficial. You know, it kind of gets into deeper rooted issues.
Oh,
to say the least.
Yeah, to say the least. It was so good. I loved that movie.
Well, okay, so on the topic of Joaquin Phoenix's rendition of the Joker.
Yeah.
We talked about this so much with Heath Ledger's version, is that the way that his mannerisms were, how he was kind of always hunched over and walking. The way that he moved his lips when he talked, like the same way with this Joker, like the body language. We already talked about the laughter a little bit, but the way he kind of contorts his body, and it's kind of wrangled, and like the light that's like the angles that it's shot from, like he looks like it just always looks uncomfortable.
He looks almost
like demonic.
That's
or like
the
possessed.
word, demonic. He almost looks demonic. Like you see. I remember there was
like it looks like his shoulders are. You know what I
when
mean?
he
Like,
does he does the shoe thing early on, which we saw in the previews.
Yeah.
Like that's the best shot of them all. But then we see later where he's shirtless at home and he's doing the dancing and all that freaky stuff.
And he's like sucking in. Like I got like a real Buffalo Bill type of vibe. Like, and even then, that's like what's so great. Like Silence of the Lambs. I think we were talking about this a couple episodes ago. Like, is that a scary movie? Or maybe this was like an off-air conversation that the three of us were having. Yeah, is Silence of the Lambs a scary movie? It's scary, but it's not like a horror slasher movie. And that's kind of what I get from this sense, is that this guy is so creepy that like everything about him just kind of irks me, even if it's like something as benign as dancing.
Yeah, and you don't know with him what's real along the way. Like sometimes you can tell, but after everything that happened with Zazie Beetz' character, like when he goes over to her place and then she freaks out, I'm like waiting for her to say like, Arthur, what's wrong?
Right.
And then it's like, you're in the wrong place. Wait, what?
The interactions
so you guys were cool.
With him and Zazie Beetz, I just didn't. That's what kind of ruined the movie. It kind of sidetracked me a little bit.
Really?
Like, I just didn't believe it. Like, so
well, it was fake
if we're operating under the assumption that this was not that was not perceived in his mind, that was actually real life that was happening. His interactions with Zazie Beetz.
Okay.
Right, because isn't that what you said?
That's how I thought they were. Yes.
Yeah. So that's like
till the twist where we find out. Well, one of the many twists, but that twist where we find out he was hallucinating the entire time.
Well, when was that?
When he was in her, when he was in her place, and she was like, "You're in the wrong."
Was he hallucinating? I just thought he went there.
No, she said you're in the wrong. She said you're Arthur, right? You mean you're in the wrong place, and then they showed the flashes of him at the stand, him at the door, and she wasn't actually there. He was just pretending to act with her. None of that was real. Him at the diner with her. Oh no, they didn't show the diner.
Oh, so the hospital. I didn't pick up on. Like, I guess I missed it. Yeah.
It was all that happened very fast. But yeah, he's there. She's freaking out, and she's like, "You're in the wrong place. Your name's Arthur, right?" He says something to that effect, and then we see in the course of all this the flash to those 3 moments that I brought up.
Yeah, I saw it earlier today, and I don't know why that just never crossed my mind about that. Yeah.
So you're right. It wasn't believable. I mean, you're right to think
that changes it. I might have to adjust my score because I just thought that was all real.
Oh, no, it wasn't. It definitely was not real in the end. Because you can tell by how she talked.
Yeah, because I'm just saying, like, you know, he's doing, like, the guns to the head in the elevator with the daughter, and, like, he's like, hey, boom, and he does it, like, really weird later on in the hallway.
Yes, yeah.
And I'm like, that's so weird. And then he ends up, like, making out with her, and, like, she comes to his shows.
Didn't happen.
And I'm like, who would think this is, hey, were you following, and she asked him, like, hey, were you following me today? Mm-hmm. And I thought that was you, and then they're, like, kind of joke about it, and she's just, like, kind of cool. And I'm like, what woman would want this, like...
No.
Okay.
Yep, not at all. None of it was real. Because I think he did follow her. I think that part was real. He just hallucinated that she was not bothered by it.
Right.
And then the other part that he hallucinated too, like we were led to believe at least that everybody was laughing with him on his second joke and stand up, and that wasn't real either.
Yeah.
That was the part that blew my mind the most. Like his stand up sucked, and she was like with him afterwards, acting like, oh, he just did a great job.
It was great. Yeah.
And it was like, nope.
Yeah.
Nope.
Okay.
All of it was fake. That's what's so tough about this movie is there are moments where it's like, I don't know if this is real and I don't know if it's not. Like when he killed his clown buddy, when that was probably the most gruesome moment I think of the whole movie, right?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, I would say that was the toughest one to watch.
And the little person there was like freaking out in the corner, and he's like, "You were the only one who was nice to me."
Yeah, I felt so bad for that guy.
Yeah,
it's like, oh God, I can't imagine being in that moment. It's like it's got to be terrifying because you're just such a huge disadvantage. But anyway, yeah. But I didn't know if that was real either at first because I'm questioning everything along the way. Mm-hmm. Well, at that point I wasn't. I think afterwards I questioned a lot of the stuff because of the Zazie Beetz hallucination.
Maybe I got to go back and watch this again.
The rewatchability on this movie is through the roof.
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's like Fight Club in that sense, but maybe you pick up more things. It's like along those lines.
Yeah, I think it'd be
where if you know that information going into, you can kind of watch with a keener eye. So this is where I would have like enjoyed the spoiler aspect of things. Like had I read that to begin with.
Yep. I can understand.
And then one time through, I can pick up everything.
So, but now you understand why even more so. I'm questioning at the end of the movie if that's a hallucination.
Yes, okay, that's fair.
Because of the blood on his shoes. I mean, is that just them, like, showing that he thought he killed her, but he never actually did? I don't know.
Right.
The whole thing is just, it's really, really messes with your head.
Did we need a backstory, a Joker origin story?
No. You never need a Joker origin story.
That was my one big takeaway from this, because, and we were talking about this before we went on air, the idea of creating a sympathetic version of the Joker and kind of understanding where he comes from when he's essentially supposed to be just like an agent of chaos, like pure evil. Mm-hmm. This Joker is not really that.
No.
He seems someone who, like, all this happens almost in spite of him. Like, he doesn't start the movement, much like Heath Ledger, who is kind of like a diabolical, all-knowing, 2 steps ahead type of Joker schemer.
Right. Mm-hmm.
This guy is just kind of like, I'm not sure if he could tie both shoes together and make it down the stairs, without tripping.
Right.
He just can't get out of his own way.
No.
So which I think it makes it tough for me to think that after the credits roll that he jumps into the Joker from the canon stories, comic books, movies that we all know.
Yeah, you'd have to be the same kind of Joker that he's been.
Like, how does he get there? Like, where's that next step? Do you know what I mean?
There have been times where the Joker has had motivation and he's not just been... I mean, he's always been pure evil, but not just an anarchist like Heath Ledger's character. He was just so good that we've kind of... That's the Joker that we've all fallen in love with.
Expect.
Exactly.
Yeah, right.
But with this one... Now, you asked me if we needed it. No, we didn't need the backstory. But I am glad that we have it now because, this, and again, I mean, is this canon? Is this like a spinoff like we talked about with like the DC Black Label things? I think those are great ideas, doing stuff like that with those characters that are established. But with this, we get a character who is, in a way, they call him a vigilante in the headlines. Now, again, I also question...
Which I thought was kind of interesting because that's Batman.
That is Batman, but he's he's the representative of the common man and the downtrodden or whatever.
Right.
I just never looked at the Joker as a vigilante and he's killing people. And again, vigilantes can kill people, I guess. Throughout this entire movie, did you? Because I didn't. Did you at any point look at him and say he's an anti-hero in the course of this?
No,
because it's a Joker. You can't look at him as that. But they all seem to. A lot of people seem to.
And that's where I also took away points from this movie is that I think the movement happened too fast.
Okay.
Like, so
the
everyone
uprising
kind
and
of
everything.
yeah, exactly. Like everyone seemed to rally behind the Joker after killing the 3 like finance bros.
Mm-hmm. They did, yeah,
pretty quickly. You know what I mean? And like,
I mean, how fast do we think that whole thing was? I mean, was that like a course of a week? You think?
Yeah, exactly. But even as we talked about this a lot with like Game of Thrones and jetpacking, quote unquote, just moving throughout the sake of the. Yeah, I think that's like a Ringer thing. I got that from the Ringer. But for the sake of telling the story, they have to move through it here just so. But you lose that continuity issue. Mm-hmm. And I feel like they spent so much time kind of letting you know how horrible of a life Arthur Fleck has that it moves kind of it doesn't I don't know, it just doesn't correlate well for me.
I understand what you're saying. I didn't care in the course of it all just because it seemed like Gotham was in such a bad spot, which Gotham's always a
yeah, but you got super rats. I don't even know what a super rat is.
Yeah, who knows what the hell that is?
Jeez, that's freaky stuff. I've seen some big rats in New York too. Like,
really?
So what's a super rat?
Okay, maybe it's along the lines of what you've seen because it was back in the day,
right?
Before they'd probably seen those. But I mean, I think Gotham was in such a bad spot that they looked at it in terms of their decision as a director or writing or whatever. They looked at it as it's not that ridiculous to think that this could happen so quickly. Mm-hmm. It didn't happen on the first day. I get a week is not like a slow burn or anything like that, but it took a little bit of time for it to happen, and then it got jettisoned by what he did because it was just like, this is a guy who has some serious nuts on him. He's just going to do he just killed a guy on TV like that. He doesn't care. He's going to do whatever he wants. So I think that, something like that definitely helps the end scene. But I guess you're talking about in terms of before that too, right?
Yeah, kind of leading up to it. Yeah, and I don't know. It just felt like it was rushed.
Yeah, I didn't.
Did you think Thomas Wayne kind of an a-hole?
Very much a dink.
Right? Yeah.
Very much of a dink.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was just kind of off-putting, right? Because like you think of I think of the Batman Begins Thomas Wayne, who's like this visionary guy who has like who's riding the train that he built to the opera because he's just a common man like everyone else at the end of the day.
Right. Yeah. He's definitely
works
not like
at a
that.
hospital or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, and this guy just wants to be like a political powerhouse.
Yeah. He's got no real interest in. I mean, he's calling the common people, clowns.
Yeah.
So he's clearly not. I mean, that's where again they try and make the Joker into a heroic kind of type figure. With something like that, I can see again how people would rally behind the Joker, where he's fighting against people like Thomas Wayne, who are saying, "I'm going to help you, but that's because you're pathetic." And that would piss a lot of people off, I would think.
Now, what I think is very interesting, would you say the media today, media real world, not the media inside of the movie, is a little bit generally left-leaning? This movie, I mean, it's funny that this is coming out with the timing of it and the media backlash that it took, because right now you have so many left-leaning politicians who are saying, we don't need billionaires. Billionaires are bad for society.
Joker just did all that for you.
Essentially, and it's like right onto it. Yeah, and you're saying all this stuff, but yet you're saying it's a bad message that you're sending.
Yeah.
But a lot of the political leaders that they back or that they air on their own publications and TV studios, channels, if you will, are touting the very same thing.
Yeah,
which is I just thought the timing
that kind of
ironic
that they're doing that, but they're just grabbing onto something that's going to be trendy and it's going to be big, and then they're talking about they're latching on to what happened with Heath Ledger's Joker and kind of building off that. But I mean, even I went to the theater in Fall River. They had a sign. No clown outfits and face paint and stuff like that.
Yeah, well, that should be like mandatory anywhere, because clowns just make me very unnerved as it is.
Clowns suck.
Yeah,
they're the worst. I mean, they don't terrify me, but they're the worst.
So Arthur Fleck kills 7 people.
6, I believe.
So the 3 finance bros.
Yep.
His former coworker.
Yep. His mother. And then
Murray Franklin.
Yep, Murray Franklin. Yep.
And then maybe the psychiatrist, social worker at the end.
6.5.
Yeah, we don't know about that one. Not that much though for an agent of chaos.
No, but see, that's where I think we've gotten
desensitized.
Yeah.
Yes. 6 people, not that much.
Not that much. No, it's and when you think about it, it was his mom. So anytime you kill a relative like that, I mean, especially your mother.
And that's a very intimate way of taking someone out, too.
Yes. So you killed your mother. The coworker one?
Also very intimate.
Yeah, I would say that's probably the least... This is such a weird thing to dissect. This is probably the least insane killing of the ones that he had. Because you go and kill...
Didn't he stab him in the eye with a pen?
Yes. No, not the manner in which he killed them was vicious. It was the most vicious killing, but at the same time, like, if you look at it, killing your mom is nuts. Killing 3 random people who... I mean, I get he's getting bullied and all that.
I was going to say, that's kind of self-defense in a way. I think there's a defense lawyer out there who could make that argument.
I mean, maybe, but still... there's the whole thing is that whenever these vicious, awful crimes happen to people, isn't it usually somebody that you know?
Yes.
Or that the victim knows?
Crime of passion.
Yeah. Well, not this case. He just went and killed him for no reason. And then Murray Franklin, I think, I would say it goes mom, just because killing your mother like that is, I think that's the most insane thing. And then killing Murray Franklin on national television?
For someone like you or I, who grew up in a more... comfortable household.
Fair enough.
Dynamic. Like, she obviously didn't care very much for Arthur. And when he finds out all that news, like, he kind of feels betrayed.
I understand why he felt betrayed. I do. But she was not well either.
I understand the death. I'm not condoning it. But, again, the empathetic, sympathetic
in the realm of Joker, I guess. Yes. Okay. Well, then either way, then Murray Franklin is your number 1, right?
Yeah. Well, it's live TV.
Yeah.
And he goes off, and like what I had down in my notes, like, this is such a great scene, that the final act where he, that Joker stuff, that superhero stuff really comes into play. Like, the first 2 acts are just kind of a movie, and then you start seeing that superhero aspect, or supervillain aspect in this case,
right?
And when he sits down and you can see him trying so hard to be a part of culture and society and everything. He just wants to be a part of it, from like how he practices his laughter to how he practices how he's going to enter the room and goes through everything like that. You know, he just wants, and it's as soon as he becomes the Joker and puts that mask on, he's finally comfortable.
Yeah. You're right.
Which is like, I think is awesome. Yeah, he comes out, he owns the stage when he walks out and smokes the hell out of a cigarette every chance he gets.
Oh, you were a fan of him?
It's a 10 out of 10.
Okay. Good.
Does a great, smoking right down to the bone. You know what I mean? Like he was doing a night of Adderall trying to cram in for his exams.
You need Peaky Blinders. They smoke a lot of cigs.
Oh yes. Again, I would imagine those to be great cig smokers.
Yeah, I think that they're. I need to start studying it more and seeing which ones you like, because then that will help me understand which ones are good. And I think it's fair to say at least the main character. Yeah, just for that alone, I'd love for you to watch Peaky Blinders.
That's fair enough.
But I know you got to read that to watch the show, so you don't want to watch it.
So yeah, that's a real rock and a hard place for me.
But you're right, going back wants that because
what was his name? I forget. Carnival.
Carnival.
Yes.
It's a weird one. Although I don't know what's a normal clown name.
Yeah, exactly.
But when he becomes Joker, he's just something. He's not the same person anymore.
He can let loose,
and that's why he's able to do that. And he has nothing to lose anymore at that point either, because Zazie Beetz was never a thing, and him and his mom's gone. She was the only one that he had close to him. So now it's just like, do whatever you want. But yeah, that was some pretty damn good acting. He just kept it together. And then of course you have De Niro, who's trying to, capture the moment.
Him on. Yeah, exactly.
And really, get those ratings and everything. And then it's like, well, you got the ratings, bud.
You reap what you sow.
Man,
well, despite it all, you never really see him raise his voice, even though he gets the crap kicked out of him a couple times, and his boss fires him for no reason, and his buddy kind of turns him in, and like all this stuff, all this horrible luck continues to happen for him. And there's only 2 times in the movie that I can think of that he raised his voice. It was when he found out that he thought Thomas Wayne was his father.
Yep.
When his mother's locking him out of the bathroom.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And then when he's on stage doing the interview with Murray Franklin, and it's a whole different level. Like, one is like real anger, but feeling like betrayed with his mother, and this is like raw energy that you feel with him with Murray Franklin. I feel like it's coming down from like the belly when he's like really going in that monologue, and he just loses his mind, and then he shoots him.
Yep. Yeah.
Like, that's like it. That was like a real moment.
That was a real moment. That was speaking of the laugh stuff, so after everything that happened with his mom, he had the card and the condition and everything. Mm-hmm. We never are told if it's his mom that gave him that card or if it was the original social worker that he was seeing that gave him that card.
Well, didn't he say that wasn't he also in a stint at Arkham previously?
Yes. That was what, according to the social worker. Yeah, we saw the moment where he's like banging his head up against the door.
Right. Yeah.
So, my question to you now, and I did think about this a little bit in the course of the movie, but now as we've talked more about where I'm having the doubts about what's real and what's not, I don't think that card was. I think that card was made up by his mom. We never get told, so it's open for interpretation.
Yeah.
I think that card is made up by his mom, because when we see later on, you talk about how he becomes Joker when he gets the mask on and everything. He can control himself with his laughter. You see that in the course of all. There are moments where it's like you would think he's going to laugh and he's able to control himself. But the thing is, I think, and he said it to his mom, this is just me. This is who I am. There's nothing wrong with me. Mm-hmm. There's a lot wrong with him. He's just a sick, twisted individual. Part of it's because of the abuse and everything, I'm sure. But that laughter is not some. I've never heard of that as a thing for.
No, I've never heard that as like a syndrome or what. Yeah.
So I think that he would just laugh at things that no one else found funny, and for some reason, in his own sick, twisted mind, he thought it was funny.
Right.
And that's where he hammers that home at the end. It's like humor is. What is it? What is the word he says? It's not objective, but it's like it's a personal thing. Mm-hmm. Like I can't think of the word.
Subjective?
Yeah, but I don't think it's not. But you know what I'm talking about. Like it's you and I can have a difference.
It's open to interpretation.
Yes. There's a word he uses, but that's what he's saying essentially. Yeah. So, do you think that the whole laugh thing was made up by his mom and not like in that world a real thing?
So I thought. So how I took it as was that it was a real thing that was brought on by anxiety. So any moments that he felt uncomfortable, it would kind of like kick in and then not be able to stop. So it was kind of like an uncontrollable thing because then he would get more nervous as he continues to laugh in this awkward setting, which would then trigger that, anxiety even more. So it continues to laugh sort of thing. Mm-hmm. So that's how I kind of interpret it. So once he put on the mask and became the Joker, he wasn't as anxious anymore. So it would just kind of go away on its own.
Okay. I think that's more viable than the card that he would hand out.
Yeah, so I think the card was there. I think that was just something that, through all the mental hospitals that he was in, that's probably easier. Because I've seen people give cards before.
Really?
I think it's, my child has autism or something like that or whatever. I've gotten those cards before in different situations.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh. Okay. That was the first time I've ever seen anything like that
before.
Yeah,
those are legit. I haven't seen it for that specific case.
Yeah, I was just wondering if that's if that can happen if someone has a stroke.
Yeah,
because I know there's crying and things like that. Like you just out of nowhere that can happen.
Yeah, or like you don't process things. It takes you longer to process.
Yeah, but that would be a little bit different as opposed to a laugh like that, which is
right.
And, by the way, do you have a Joker laugh?
No, I'm horrible at impersonations and impressions. Do you? Do you have one?
I don't. Maybe we'll break it out later.
Come on, yeah. If you're gonna bring it up like that, you're gonna have to, break it out at some point.
All right. I'll break it out. I'll break it out in a second. When you're talking, I'll try and time it well.
Yeah.
But this for me, the Joker becomes somewhat of a sympathetic character, I guess, in a way, because it's like, God, every single thing. It's like, the thing is that I think Phillips did so well, or whoever, the writers or whatever.
He was one of the main writers.
He was one of the main writers.
I think there was someone else. I didn't write it down, but yeah.
So
him and someone else.
I appreciate how, we see in movies where things continue. It's like, it keeps going right from things are going well, or you just can't catch a break. Everything continues to go wrong time after time. I did not feel like for 1 second with the Joker that any of it was forced. I felt like it was all ridiculous in terms of just, God, the guy can't catch a break with the sign, and then the business is pissed at him. They have no idea. I mean, you would think if you're in that situation, you should go back to the business, show them the sign got messed up. But I could easily see someone be like, no, I'm not going to go tell them that he's beat by a bunch of kids. And I feel like every single thing where you have the guy who then backstabs him and says, oh, yeah, he asked me for a gun, too, the other day. And then stuff with the mom and all that, I could just see that it was very viable for me.
Right.
I felt that was all very real.
I could see that. Yeah, absolutely.
It's so good.
It was just disappointing.
I was practicing the other day. No, that was bad.
When you practice, are you in the mirror? Are you doing your own Joaquin Phoenix?
I was doing it just for this. Like, I wanted to make sure that I could have it, and then I go in. Nah, I'm not gonna try again. I'm pissed.
Well, there's no end credits or mid credit scene.
Yeah.
So you don't have to stay if you haven't seen it yet.
But
and you're still listening to everything else. There's that.
Yeah. No.
Who did it better as a standalone, not exactly your typical cookie cutter superhero movie, Logan or Joker? I think these two movies are pretty similar. You could maybe throw in Deadpool.
Yeah. You can throw in
R-rated.
I did think about that afterwards. Okay, I think that Deadpool is the most fun. So
it's a little bit more the campier of the two movies for sure,
right.
Or three.
And I think that's the easiest one to just say, hey, I'm going to watch this. Like, if you're watching Logan and you're watching Joker, you got to be invested. As much as Logan has the actions that you can just turn on for that. I think, in terms of, like, not to, like, call back to Scorsese or anything, but in terms of a film, Joker's better.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And but I think I give it to the Joker. I think I give it to Joker. Yeah.
Maybe that's recency bias because I really liked Logan when it came out.
Yeah,
I'm kind of leaning towards Joker right now myself.
Yeah, I am too. But at the same time, in a couple of months, if I'm like, I'm just gonna watch a superhero movie, it'll definitely be Deadpool above all three.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. The rewatchability of all three goes to Deadpool. But I'm wondering about Logan. Like Logan, it's not that rewatchable for me.
No, well. Yeah, I think there are bits and pieces in the course of the movie.
Yeah, exactly. But it has to be the right scene that I catch if I turn to the channel.
Yeah.
I won't just sit down and be waiting for a scene to come if that's like, you know what I mean?
It's heavy, but at the same time, what makes it more rewatchable, I think, than Logan is just something we've never seen before.
Well, yeah, and I think also maybe this is just a me thing because I missed this the first time around. But what you mentioned, that kind of being the Fight Club effect of kind of going back and from that point of view that you mentioned, like maybe it was all just a dream or in his head.
That kind of pissed me off at the end. I was like, God, dude, you didn't need to do that. You could have just left it and it would have been fine.
Yeah, see, like I said, that's really interesting. So I didn't even pick up on that. So I'll have to go back to.
Yes. You'll have to go back and watch it again. It's so I think there's like with all the hype around Joker, I think this personally, we still gotta get to On My Mind, but I think this warrants a second episode because we haven't touched on who did.
Well, that's what I was gonna say. Did you want to run through all our all-time Joker portrayals, or do you want to hold off on that until next week? I
think we can tease where we stand on it.
Okay.
So. You and I have the same 5 through 3.
Yeah. You go through your 5 through.
Okay, I have the same. I have the same exact one as you do. Leto,
at
Hamill,
5. Yeah.
Yep. You could put him at 6 and have just blank space.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
Then Hamill, and then Nicholson. I think that's very fair. I've never seen any of the Cesar Romero stuff. So I can't. So I would say he's. Honestly, because I trust him, I'd put him at 5. I'd put Leto at 6.
Yeah. Yeah. I just couldn't tell. So. I have Leto at 5, Hamill at 4, and then 2 and 3 was really tough for me.
Very. Okay.
So I was kind of flip-flop, and I was considering, just because of I have Joaquin Phoenix right now at 2, Nicholson at 3, Ledger at 1. But I was thinking about flip-flopping Phoenix and Nicholson, just because Phoenix, like, I thought his portrayal was good, it's unique, but that the sympathetic aspect of it just kind of takes away that mysterious chaos factor about Joker that you get with Jack Nicholson a little bit more. You still get the Jack Napier backstory in Batman 89, kind of who he is a little bit, but even further removed from Heath Ledger's portrayal, where you have no idea where he came from, who he is, what's he about.
See, because I didn't think...
And it's that mystery. You can kind of go on, like, how many, like, Reddit threads and, like, fan fictions go on there about, like, Joker actually is, like, has a military background because of how good he is with weapons and all this stuff. And, it's just kind of interesting look at it.
I think that I don't know how Joaquin Phoenix would have done without Heath Ledger's interpretation, because you brought up how there were some similarities to the character.
And there was one scene in particular where he's in the back of the cop car, watching the world burn right after he kills Murray Franklin. And that is like a complete nod to Heath Ledger, Dark Knight.
Yeah, that's a good point. And I think the mannerisms were something else, too, that you brought up that was definitely...
He made him his own, but it was still taking those body mannerisms and making sure...
Yeah, it was definitely different, but it's so important to the character to do him well, to show that he's not like everybody else.
Yeah.
At all. And you see how they become a little bit more severe as the fall from Fleck to Joker, as he descends throughout the movie. But I'm actually going to give it to, right now, and maybe it's recency bias, but because he was able to do this all on his own. He had the characters, inserted in along the way. Obviously, a lot of mom and everything. But I'm going to give it to Joaquin Phoenix right now, because I don't think that Heath Ledger's Joker we can do what he did. You don't have that depth. You would be too reliant on a second character. You need Batman. And I think Joker... I think the Flex Joker is just, there is so much with him, and you could do, and if there wasn't this whole doubt that I have at the end, I could absolutely buy into having another movie where he's dealing with someone like Batman and fighting him, or whoever you want to use, and they just get brought in a little bit. I don't know if you can do that with Heath Ledger.
I see that, and we'll definitely dive into that next week. I'm going to refrain from my remarks. I have a couple immediate things that I would like to...
Probably went a little too far with my description there.
No, but I think it works. Yeah, well, it's a good tease.
Yeah, there you go.
Just the tip, just a little, just enough to know that it's there.
So we'll definitely do that next week, and hopefully Tim will have seen the movie by then, so he can share his opinion.
Yes.
In the course of it all. But is there anything else on the Joker before we get to what else has been on your mind?
No, that's it.
So we've, like I always say, I'm sure you've had other things going on in the course of your life, Wes. What else has been on your mind aside from this amazing Joker movie?
Big Mouth Season 3.
Okay.
Came out on last Friday, October 4th. I've already watched a couple episodes. It happens to be a fantastic series if you're unfamiliar with it. Nice Nick Kroll and John Mulaney. You got a bunch of other people in there as well, but they're the stars of it. Very honest and real show. The lady and I love it. I think we give it 4 thumbs up. Go out and watch it. It's all about kids going through puberty who can't relate to that.
Animated, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Which means they can get away with a lot more.
Yeah, of course.
Hormone monsters. It's great stuff.
Speaking of which, China no longer airing South Park. It looks like they've taken it off their internet.
Is that because of the NBA thing?
I guess Matt Stone and Trey Parker went and said some remarks, like sarcastically.
They were mocking the NBA.
Yes.
And Daryl Morey. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So they are them, and I guess they're having their 300th episode this week. So they said be sure to everybody tunes in. So I guess they're going to be coming at.
I want to see it.
Yeah. I will make sure to DVR it if nothing else. But I finished up season 5 of Peaky Blinders, 6 episodes. It is.
Yes. You read it.
Oh yeah. It was. Oh yeah, I read it. Yeah. I don't want to spoil anything for anybody, but yeah, there were certain points where I had to read it more so than others. But it was I will say, after watching The Joker and like watching these kind of all at the same time, a lot of darkness, a lot of dismal, crap going on. But I absolutely loved it. I think this. I actually want to go back and watch the other seasons now after watching this, because there's a lot that's gone on in the 4 seasons that I kind of. Little details that I forgot along the way that I'd like to go back and see. What else happened? But I didn't know what to expect going into this. Like, where could they possibly go? Definitely blew me away with it. They've set up for another season. I think at minimum, this season has 2 legs left on it. Has the legs for 2 seasons on it.
Has 2 legs left on it.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
So it can run to the next season.
Exactly.
I get it.
Yeah. Easily. It can go farther than that. I don't know if the actors want to do that, but I could see it easily having 2 more seasons. They only do 6 episodes, so it's a quick watch. An hour long for most of them. So I could not recommend this show more. Like I know I watched some stupid shows like Van Helsing, although I don't know if people call it stupid or whatever, but I think it might be a little bit. Van Helsing and like Castlevania and all these things. This is a quality show. It's like it is an A+ show.
I'll take your word of it. You know how I feel. I'm not going to keep reiterating my point.
Nope,
I'll take your word if it's a good show, but I will do just that and not watch it.
So until next week when we talk.
Yeah, we're getting 2 weeks out of the Joker content, and maybe I was just thinking maybe I'm spitballing here with Halloween coming around. Yeah, I know we did like a fast food sort of thing.
Oh,
maybe you do like a Halloween candy episode.
Oh, I think
that's a good one, right?
I think that would be fun.
Yeah.
Where do you? I'm very curious where you stand.
Well, my all-time favorite candy is Reese's peanut butter cups.
Wow.
Chocolate peanut butter, say no more.
Oh, okay. I don't want to hear it right now, but I do.
It's kind of the.
It's cliche.
Yeah,
I love it.
I'll say it's the according to Jim of Halloween candies.
I wouldn't say that. It's a tried and true. Like everyone loves it. I would say it's closer to like Friends. Like it's a popular show. Oh.
There we go. I broke it out. I had to try it one last time. That was better.
Did you have the face? Did you have the camera on him for the face?
I did.
Oh, that's fantastic. I can't wait for it. I think we got a Streamliner video.
I'll make sure
video on there.
I'll make sure I put it out.
That's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that with the world. That means a lot to me.
I needed to redeem myself. I need to get like in a certain angle from my.
Yeah, no, and it completely caught me off guard. I thought you were laughing at my joke for a second, and then I realized you weren't.
I did it first. In fairness.
It's good.
But
it's real good.
I am curious your candy corn take. I don't want to hear it now. We'll save that for that episode. But Heath Ledger versus Joaquin
Phoenix.
The guy who I like
for the crown.
Yes. For the crown of Joker.
The Clown Prince.
Next week.
Wow.